Halo, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. How are you students? Welcome to you again with me Muhammad Anis Ramzi in the English Grammar Corner. For today we would like to discuss about adjective clause. Okay class, have you ever heard about adjective clause? Uh, what is adjective clause? Here we will inform you about adjective clause. Is it the same with the adjective itself? Adjective clause is an adjective independent clause. Adjective almost the same that the modifying the pronoun or noun. And take a look on the example. The red coat is expensive. This is usual adjective. Then in the right table we have adjective clause. The coat which I bought yesterday is expensive. While take a look, while the adjective is usually comes from before the noun, while adjective clause this is comes after the adjective or the noun or pronoun. Then, like the red or the independent clause, the second example is modifies the noun. The adjective clause here also modifies the noun or pronoun. The main point is it comes after the noun. Then adjective clause usually answering the question from the words which one or what kind of. And remember, adjective clause is will take place on another clause or another phrase. An adjective clause, remember, modifies the noun or pronoun. The example, the red coat is expensive. It is common adjective, while the coat which I bought yesterday is expensive. It is the adjective clause. Students, now take a look on the example again. The red coat is expensive is the adjective. It is come before the noun, while the coat which I bought yesterday is expensive. This is adjective clause and it comes after the noun. Then in formal writing, an adjective clause begins with relative pronoun who or whom, that or which, while in a formal writing or speech you may leave out or you may not use the relative pronoun when it is not the subject of the adjective clause, but usually you must include the relative pronoun in a formal academic writing. Take a look on the example. In formal academic writing, an English and adjective clause with object or relative pronoun. For people, we use whom. And in adjective clause with object or preposition, bring the preposition forward and use whom or which. Look at the example. In the formal, we have the books that people read were mainly religious, while in the informal, the books people read were mainly religious. We omit or we leave out the relative pronoun. While in the next example, some firefighters never meet whom people they save. In the formal, some firefighter never meet the people they save. Look at the formal academic writing. It is acceptable when you write down Jack London whom I admire, wrote a lot of short stories. While it is not acceptable when you read or when you write Jack London, who admire, wrote a lot of short of stories. Then the presidency is the position to which many politicians aspire. Then the presidency is the position that many politicians aspire. Here are the example of adjective clause with starting with relative pronoun with whom, with who, whom, and which. Pay attention again to the example. In a formal, we must use relative pronoun, and then in a formal writing, we may omit or we may leave out the relative pronoun. Students, we will continue again later. Again, pay attention. It is acceptable in the writing. Then look at the example more about adjective clause. The meat with the ate was thirsty. This clause of the noun meat and answer the question which meat. They talk about the movie which made him cry. This clause modifies the noun movie and answer the question which movie. Then they are searching for the one who borrowed the book. The clause modifies the noun with the question which one. Then, did I tell you about the author whom I met? The clause modifies the noun author and answer the question which author. Students, here are some examples more about adjective clause. Pay attention again and again about the example, and then take a look on the bold printing in the example on our PowerPoint. The meat which they ate, then which made him cry, then who borrowed the book, then whom I met. Now come to the identifying adjective clause and then non-identifying clause. You must understand whether or not the dependent clause is essential information or extra information in understanding of the noun. This impacts the meaning and the punctuation. Essential clauses are also called identifying or restrictive. We do not use commas with these clauses. While the clauses are also extra clauses are also called non-identifying or non-restrictive. We must use commas with these clauses. We cannot use the relative pronoun that. Take a look on the example on things to remember. Identifying versus non-identifying. My sister who lives in Bel Air has 3 children. My sister who lives in Bel Air has 3 children. Question. Which sentence is it clear that I have more than one sister? The answer. The second sentence tells me I have more than one sister. Then I am giving extra information about my sister. Students, pay attention again to the identifying versus non-identifying adjective clause. On the first sentence, we have commas. My sister, commas, who lives in Bel Air has 3 children. While in the second sentence, my sister who lives in Bel Air has 3 children without commas. It is the adjective clause. Then take a look on the more examples. He is the man who works at the grocery store. This is essential or identifying information. Think about it as 2 sentences. He is a man, he worked at the grocery store. Without the second sentence, you couldn't identify them. While in the second sentence on the below, notice that a becomes the because noun changed from the indefinite to indefinite because of the identification. Maria, who worked as physician's assistant, enjoyed his job. This is extra or non-identifying information. Maria also the proper noun that it must definite article, and there's only one Maria who works. Now we would come to the noun clause. What is noun clause according to you? You may guess, students. Okay, we would like to explain to you about what is noun clause. We will continue again to the grammar corner. Noun clause is a dependent clause which takes place of a noun in another clause or phrase. Like a noun clause acts as the subject or object of a verb or the object of the preposition answering the question who or whom and then what. Noun clause is a dependent clause, remember? Dependent clause. It cannot stand alone. It must be followed the other sentence. Take a look on the words that introduce the noun clauses. How, if, that, what, then where, whichever, when, whether, which, whoever, who, which, whoever, whomever, and why. Then, noun clause with question word are indirect questions. Or we can say kalimat tak langsung dalam bahasa Indonesia. Let's take a look on the example. I don't know what he is doing. I wonder how he feels today. Where I put my book is mystery. Noun clause can be used as the following. As a subject, his speech was clear. This is noun or pronoun, while in the noun clause, what he said was clear. Then, in the direct object, I don't know his contact number. This is noun or pronoun, while noun clause, I don't know how he can reach. Then, in direct object, we can give her the message. In the noun clause, give whoever answer for the message. In the object of prepositions, I send notice to her. I send the notice to whoever. This is the noun clause. Students, take a look again on the example. Noun clause can be used as the following. Subject, direct object, then indirect object. And also, it becomes in the object of preposition. Take a look again on the example, noun or pronoun, then noun clause. Okay, we would like to continue again to the noun clause explanations. Pay attention again to the examples again and again. When you have got a problem, you may consult with me under my number. And noun clause can be used as the following, like the noun clause can be a predicate or complement of noun. The example is, that is my plan. This is a noun or pronoun, while that is what I plan to do. This is noun clause. And also, noun clause after verb or expression that show importance or urgency. The example of the urgency or the show of importance is, it is visible, it is essential, it is imperative, it is important, it is urgent, it is necessary. The example, it is essential that a baby have a stimulation. I advise that she stay home with her children. Then, it is important that a diabetic person not increase the sugar intake. Here are the use of noun clause that come after the verb or expression that show the importance or the urgency. Students, here are the use of noun clause after verb that show importance or urgency. The base form it use. Use the subject pronoun before base form. For negative, put not before the base form. Pay attention again to the examples. It is essential that a baby have a stimulation. Then, I advise that she stay home with her children. It is not important that a diabetic person not increase the sugar intake. That's the explanation that noun clause become after a verb or expression that show importance or the urgency of things. It is advisable, it is essential, it is imperative, it is important, it is necessary, it is urgent. That are some expressions that show importance or urgency. Perhaps several words that okay, children, thank you for joining. Goodbye. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.